This is the Rio Blanco Fire as seen from 8 Mile Mesa in Pagosa Springs, Colorado on Sunday, August 2nd, 2026. When we first arrived, fire looked fairly quiet with only a few hot spots here and there, but less than an hour later it had turned into a raging wildfire. This was done on purpose with a drone. I'll explain how and why this happened. So when we first got there, firefighters were focusing on Frio Canyon, which is to the west of the main fire area. There was a flare-up there, so they brought in a plane to drop fire retardant, and also were using helicopters to drop water on the fire. It's pretty interesting to watch. And you can see the helicopter dropping water from a tank suspended from the helicopter.
Flip open socket case for the outdoor sockets. Like just slam full of yellow jackets and their nest material. That's what you want. I was like, it's time. Did you drop it as water? Now.
But then things got really interesting. Within less than an hour, this area of the mesa above the Lower Blanco neighborhood was really lit up with fire. So we didn't realize it at the time, but what we were actually watching was a planned operation by firefighters. If you look really closely by the red arrow, there's a little blinking light that's a drone. It's a specialized drone that can start fires. We didn't know it at first, but it was about to make the Rio Blanco fire explode. So some parts of the fire had moved further down the hill than the others, and this created an uneven fire edge above the Lower Blanco neighborhood area. So rather than leaving those gaps in place, fire crews decided to take advantage of the cooler temperatures and the evening winds that were lighter at night to burn them out. So they did this under controlled conditions at nighttime when things were a lot calmer. Where? So a specialized drone flew along the edge of the fire. It dropped ignitions into unburned vegetation between the active sections of the fire. And from our viewpoint up on 8 Mile Mesa, you could see new pockets of flame appearing one after another as they worked across the hillside. So it was pretty much followed the same pattern as where the drone had been. And there were a lot of wildfire staff on hand to make sure things went as planned. So there wasn't really much risk there. I'm sure there was, but they seemed to have things under control.
That's what you don't want to see is that big treetops.
And as the video progresses, you can see how the mesa above the Lower Blanco neighborhood really starts to catch fire. So I looked up how this fire-breathing drone works, and it's pretty interesting. So instead of carrying water to put out the fire, the drone carries hundreds of small plastic balls, and they're sometimes called dragon eggs. So these dragon eggs each contain a chemical that ignites shortly after it's dropped on the ground. And the drone releases them at precise locations, which are chosen by the wildlife fire managers, creating fire exactly where they want it. So they were putting it exactly on that mesa where they couldn't reach it by hand, but where it makes sense to burn it ahead of it getting down to the bottom where the Lower Blanco neighborhood is. So we watched this take place in real time. And the goal was to even things out and create a more continuous fire edge instead of having separate fingers of fire pushing downhill at different rates, which would make things a lot more dangerous for the firefighters and for the houses. This kept it more under control, and they were able to handle it a little bit better. So you can see how the fire started to catch on after the drone flew over specific areas. It started smoking pretty quickly, and then you could see how the underbrush and the trees ignited. And the timestamps really show how fast this happened. Throughout this video, you can see the drone, or maybe it was drones, I'm not really sure, blinking as it moves around the fire.
Yeah, I saw that.
Ground crews were in place while this drone operation was underway, and they were monitoring the burn and ready to respond if needed. But it seems to have gone smoothly. So in the span of less than an hour, the fire went from looking almost out to appearing like a raging fire. This was all part of the firefighting plan, apparently. And it really seemed crazy to see it in person, especially since we weren't expecting it. We just went up there to check on the fire to see how things were going, and then we just saw this happen. The firefighters have done an amazing job so far on the Rio Blanco fire, and they're continuing to do so. And I know the residents of Pagosa Springs, and especially those along the Lower Blanco, are really appreciative of their work.
That's good though. It's just going straight uphill, so. Damper on fuel for the fire coming down the hill tonight. So.
But really, where's that fire down the hill? That hot spot's been there for 3 days, it seems.
And you can see how close this fire is from the houses in the Lower Blanco and how it basically is in a straight line across the bottom of the fire. That's to help keep things under control. And the drone or drones did that, and it's really amazing. So I have no idea that was something that drones did. I thought they would put out the fire, but they actually were starting fires to help put it out, I guess, in the long term.
Now that's a fire. Can Pecos when you come through.
Oh, sorry, I got upset. I was going to say, he's not sorry.
I know you're not sorry. They'll do it again tomorrow. What's the night crew? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? If they have insurance.
They were saying, depending on your insurance company will come down and cut down your trees for you and water your house so they don't have to pay.
I'm just saying, the money that I see spent tonight probably worth more than that house. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying if you're looking at the financials, you can give them, you can give them 400 grand.
It's in the mailbox?
No.
All that stuff?
No.
You get an email?
No. I just saw delivery on the
So amazing work by the firefighters, and they really deserve so much credit for the dangerous work that they're doing to keep everyone safe. So much kudos to them, and just really a fascinating evening to watch this take place.
When it's too steep like that, they don't want the crews on it. So they,
Well, yeah.
Hell no.